People who owe back state taxes in North Carolina will now have their debt forgiven after 10 years. And that's thanks to a law quietly passed by the General Assembly in 2023. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jane Monreal alongside Nate Morabito. Nate, I want to talk about this new law in a moment. But first, take me back to the beginning of this investigation. You exposed a little known state law that has cost people found with drugs millions of dollars, more than $1 million.
100 million.
100 million, yes.
Over the last 15 years.
Incredible.
Right, taxing people. And those people don't even have to be convicted. But if you are found with drugs in North Carolina, forget whatever happens to you criminally, civilly the state can tax you, and they do tax you. And the idea is that you have to pay these taxes with interest, with penalty. If you get a job, it's garnished from your employers, from your wages. Maybe you don't buy a house because you're worried about a lien on your property. And a lot of people think this law is unfair because really, once you go to prison, you've served your sentence, right? You're trying to start over. And for some people, this added tax is an extra burden. I mean, you just get released from prison or jail. Let's say you are convicted, and then you have to pay money back to the state. How are you supposed to start over? So we started looking into this because we knew this was an issue, the law. A lot of people had a problem with it. They want it repealed. They want people's debt forgiven for this specific tax. And we aired this story back in January, and we talked about a man who basically had thousands of dollars of tax debt tied to drugs. And we learned after the fact that lawmakers changed a law for all state taxes.
Oh, okay.
Statute of limitations now being enforced for state taxes.
Okay, so that's how you uncovered this. So you spoke to a man who did his time for the drugs, again, still owed $18,000 in taxes, the penalties and interest.
This was over several years. He had slowly kind of whittled that tax debt down a bit, and he owed kind of close to $13,000 when we aired the story, or so he thought. And after the story aired, someone said, you need to look into if these laws may have impacted him. Because there's an existing law on the books, too, even before this new law, where if there's a lien on your property tied to uncollected tax debt, after 10 years, the state would forgive that. He didn't know that. We didn't know that. We didn't know there was a new law. He didn't know there was a new law.
Wow.
But the bottom line is he is super relieved right now, and I think we're going to hear from him.
Finally, I got through, and the woman said that my debt that I owe the taxes was eradicated, or they done away with it, and they automatically applied it to me retroactively because my case was like 30 years old, and it brings me to a biblical thing, Hosea 4:6. Our people are perished for the lack of knowledge. The lack of knowledge of the law had me scared, paranoid. You know, when y'all interviewed me and all these people contacted me, that empowered me and educated me enough, I contacted them, and there it was. They relieved me of all my debts.
He was a teenager when he was found with those drugs.
Wow.
And it turns out the state had forgiven that debt in September 2022. He was able to find that out after we reached back out to him and said, we probably should check on this because there may be some good news in your future.
I mean, you hear and see his relief, and he's a whole new person because of it. Who else?
Thank goodness for that, right?
Right.
I mean, this affects everyone. I just want to say this again. It's not just the drug tax. When we asked the Department of Revenue here in North Carolina, well, what is this relevant to? All state tax assessments. So people need to be aware of that if you think you have debt, there is a good chance, if it is old tax debt, the state now has procedure in place to basically abate long-standing tax debt.
All right, let's listen to that.
The lack of knowledge can be just as harmful as the assessment itself, and it's going to cause a chilling effect where people are going to make decisions based on the false belief that they still have these assessments on them. So they might decide not to, go for and buy that house, or not to buy that car, or put it in their name. They might decide not to take that employment because they don't want their wages garnished. So yes, it is a step in the right direction. We hope that the law will still go further, but we think right now it's very important to get the word out about this statute of limitation.
All right, getting the word out there. At the start, Nate, we talked about how the new law forgives debt after 10 years. You mentioned it there. And if someone hasn't had the debt for that time yet, what can they do?
Well, I don't know in that situation. If it's not been 10 years,
If it's not that time, right?
I'm not going to give you advice one way or the other. But I will tell you that if it hits 10 years old, you need to call the Department of Revenue, North Carolina Department of Revenue, and ask for an update on your debt status, because at that point, there's a very good chance your debt is forgiven. And I also find it really odd, speaking about what should people do, lawmakers did not publicize this last year when they did this.
Right.
And it makes you wonder if there's a fear of less money being collected over time if people know about this. But it's just like you're hearing, knowledge is power. Ignorance can cause people to make some decisions that they wouldn't otherwise make, or be paranoid. And the whole idea of what we're trying to do is to inform you so that you know if you have old debt, there's a good chance it's forgiven.
All right. Thank you very much, Nate. A reminder, WCNC Charlotte's Where's the Money series is all about leveling the playing field by helping others and breaking down barriers. You can find our previous stories where we ask the question, where's the money? By downloading the WCNC Charlotte mobile app today.